Okay, so let's look at tools. Okay, so now let's look at some tools. Okay, so I've got listed first Excel sheets. Now, it's not it's not my favorite personally, but you can use an Excel sheet to create a plan. Yes, you can do that, at least a high level plan. I mean, because the nature of an Excel sheet, it has the ability to calculate. And if you do manage to get an Excel sheet which has been formatted into a very sophisticated macro book, then, then it might work. That might work. Now, these are planning tools. These are planning tools. There are a number of them that really and truly, when you think about them, they really are task management tools. But they've also got the added functionality of collaboration, which means that, we can have a number of people who are working on the same, they're working on the same platform, and everybody can see what's being done. You can have a chat function there where you are having conversations. You have a repository management system in there, so all the documents that everybody's working with is on that same system. All of those things are working together, and therefore that enables planning. Because if you've got all your plans, you have a chat function, you're all having conversations, you're all coming to the same conclusions, it's all being recorded in the same place. Fantastic. Okay. Some of these tools, so what I've just described, that tends to work in Basecamp and Jira. Jira is very much used for agile planning and agile project management. And then we have tools like Asana and Trello, which are more about managing tasks, being able to say this task has started, this task is in progress, this is finished, and that sort of thing. So they're very much, they will help when it comes to planning and managing tasks. So you've got Rike, which is also a bit of an advancement in terms of planning, in that it also has scheduling elements in it. So it not only does it do all what I've just talked about, but it also have a scheduling element, and you'll be able to manage dependencies and that sort of thing in there as well. Zoho projects, not only can you do traditional project planning there, you can do you can also do agile planning there as well. But again, what would be needed is that there might be a level of customization that needs to happen in order for you to take it from planning to scheduling. I'm going to talk about ERP tools as well, because they have, some of them have project management elements in them. And an ERP tool is an enterprise resource planning tool. And they are used by very big organizations who have a number of regions all over the place and want to standardize the way they manage key elements of their operation. So they want to standardize human resource management, they want to standardize procurement, they want to standardize finance, those sort of operations. And they also want a tool that will take into consideration peculiarities in that particular region. So there may be things that is happening in the Paris office. To a large extent, we use the same templates and we use the same processes, but we need a tool that will translate those processes and templates into French, that sort of thing. So you really need a very robust type of tool that's able to do that. Now, I am going to say, though, that when it comes to project management, unless that tool has a project management element, so tools like SAP and Workday and Sage, unless they have a project management element, it's not likely that you'd be able to use it for project management, although you could. Some people will argue that you could. So when we're talking about planning, they are talking about more from the perspective of as an organization, not only from a project point of view. So you can visualize as an organization, if we have a branch in Paris, we have a branch in New York, we have a branch in Cape Town. If we have all of these branches happening, we want to kind of like be on the same page when it comes to the organization moving forward. That's the kind of planning that they are talking about. It's a bit different from what we are talking about, which is project planning and scheduling. But I put it in there because you're going to come across them. Tools like Sage and tools like Oracle, they are touted as project planning tools. And it really just depends on the organization to see if that would really work better for you. And then, of course, we've got the ever so popular Microsoft, which isn't, I don't know whether it's an ERP tool, but Microsoft Projects is definitely a go-to tool when it comes to scheduling. So let's look at scheduling now. Okay, so we are looking at a schedule. I think you might have seen this in the previous segment. And when it scheduling, I hope by now you now can see that there's a significant difference between scheduling and between planning. Now, when you can use Excel sheets and maybe other tools to plan, but when you want to create a schedule that will help you manage your tasks, a schedule that will help you see your timeline, a schedule that will also match those two elements alongside costs and alongside resources, you can actually manage your resources within this particular scheduling tool, which is Microsoft Projects. A tool that will also help you with your dependencies. If you want to be able to take all of that and be able to come up with critical path analysis, baseline analysis, you want to be able to understand what is going on in your activity, to be able to report in another report. And I should also mention that Microsoft Projects has a reporting element to it as well. If you want to do all of those things, you need to find yourself a proper scheduling tool. The time that it will take for you to create or to make your Excel sheet become that tool, you might as well get a scheduling tool, because some people are adamant that, Excel is the way to plan. It's like, no, it's not. But anyway, so and this is why a tool works better. It gives you a full view of your schedule. You're looking at your schedule. As soon as you've put all the information in, you will have different outputs from this particular tool that will tell you what's happening. It will tell you how much have you achieved, are you lagging behind, what's on your critical path analysis, and so on and so forth. Changes, as soon as you put the change in, it will reflect instantly, not only on that particular task, on the entire schedule. If you try that with an Excel sheet, it won't be obvious, because an Excel sheet is not a scheduling tool. Okay, it's a calculation tool. So it won't be obvious what the impact of that change has been. Sometimes a day can really throw an entire project out. It's collaborative. Now, Microsoft Projects has been developed over the years, and we now have something called Project Online, which means that Microsoft Projects, but now in a collaborative type of environment. Microsoft Projects and tools like it have resource management. So there's a part in this particular tool where you can upload all of your project management community, upload everybody onto the tool, and you can manage your resource pool from there. You can see who's working on what, who has too much to do, who has nothing to do, and so on and so forth. Cost management is also in there as well. So all of these tasks, because you are putting every single resource in there, so to be able to accomplish a particular task, it might mean that you need a bit of a builder, you need an electrician, you need this, you need that, and it will show you how much that task is going to cost you in terms of labor and any materials that you've put in. You've also got dependency management in this tool. Now, why anybody would want to manage their schedules on anything except for Microsoft Project always puzzles me. And yes, there's a lot of effort that goes into managing a schedule, but what tends to happen is that people want to shy away from doing all that work up front. Then we get like 6 months into the situation, and then now people want to look back and start trying to retrospectively try and do the work that they should have done to begin with. Now, if your project is very complex, you must invest the time to schedule it, because there will come a time, I assure you, where things are going to get tangled up and you're going to try and remember what happened 3-4 months ago. It's not going to be possible unless you've documented it in the right way, in a way that's going to give you an idea of how you have come to be where you're at. Okay, so you've got your dependency management as well. You've got the impact of one particular task on another task. And because Microsoft Projects is now something you can upload online, you can actually connect projects to projects. So if you are in a program environment and you have about whatever many projects going on, and there are some projects that are connected to some projects, you can actually connect projects to projects. And it will give you a sense of, from a program point of view or from a portfolio point of view, an idea of exactly what is happening within that space. One of the biggest asks from senior stakeholders when I work with organizations, one of the things they're always asking me, for somebody who's on a director level, they don't want to come to they don't have the time to come to this level of detail. They want to see things from a very high level. Okay, so they want to be able to see how things connect and where the problems are, where the blockages might likely be. Are we going to see any risks? What would be the impact of those risks? Okay, so those are the kind of insights you're able to feed up to your senior stakeholders if you have a very granular built from the bottom up and built it upwards. If you have that kind of view and that kind of insight, those are the kind of things that they find very useful. And then lastly, you have something called the critical path insight. If you have detailed your project in such a way in your scheduling tool, it will tell you, the scheduling tool will tell you what is on your critical path. And as I've explained before, if there are activities on your critical path and they are changed in any way, they will extend your schedule. They will impact your schedule. And so you want to know that. And sometimes when you have a very complex schedule, so especially if you were trying to build a bridge, your schedule will be very complex. You want to be able to see at a glance what happens when things are shifted ever so slightly. Even one day can make that bit of difference. Okay, so we have come to the end of this segment in the course. We have now got a very good sense, and hopefully we've all got a good sense of what the principles are and how things work. And now the next thing to do is to go and see that in action. So the next segment of the course will look at how do we create a schedule, how do we manage resources, and how can we generate a report from all of this. So I will see you in the next segment.